experience in the two organizations that I played for was that it was handled, I thought, where the doctors and the trainers did a great job of informing us, also did a great job of being gatekeepers. Could you get it? Absolutely. But was it monitored, and was it very carefully doled out? Yes, it was. And so that was my experience in the National Football League. I had great doctors, I had great team physicians, I had great trainers, guys that I trust, guys that I understand. I think what we're talking about here, and the problem, there's a delineating line that really separates this in two different categories. We're talking about guys who are addicted to pain pills. I'm a personal responsibility taker. I took Toradol shots, I took painkillers, I did all those things, but I didn't get addicted to them because I knew the pitfalls of taking those drugs and using those drugs. I abused anti-inflammatories during the course of the season. As soon as the season was over, I went cold turkey on all that stuff because I understood and I was informed about what I was doing to my body. I understood that playing in this league was going to have a lifelong consequences, lifelong repercussions based upon what I was doing to my body. I accepted that willingly, and I would do it all over again. But the difference is here now, the delineating line is, are guys being mistreated, misdiagnosed? Is there some malfeasance along with that diagnosis to get you to play, knowing full well that you probably shouldn't play? And that's the real question here about the lawsuit. And I believe that in certain situations, yes, that does occur. There's no question about it. And Marcellus is right in this. Those surgeons and those team doctors work for that organization. So, you know, when a guy gets knocked out of a game, remember a couple of years ago when Matt Schaub took a vicious hit and gets knocked down. I mean, it was ugly. And he's laying face down on the ground, and the doctor comes out and checks on him and essentially says, well, I performed a concussion test. Impossible. And he's back in the next series. Impossible to do that when a guy's face down on all fours. So does that doctor work for the Houston Texans, or does that doctor work for Matt Schaub? And my feeling would be that doctor worked for the Houston Texans at that point. And so you have to understand, and you have to get, you know, who's paying that salary and who they're beholden to as team physicians. So I do believe there's a fine line that they walk. I think most of them try to err on the side of good judgment toward the player, but the bottom line, there's a lot of pressure on those doctors as well. And here's one solution that would help that. If the contracts in the National Football League weren't written on toilet paper, because that's what they're worth, if they were actually guaranteed contracts, I believe the organizations would have a vested interest, a real vested interest, and not just lip service like Roger Goodell comes out and says safety is our #1 concern. A real concern for the player's health and well-being. If you were invested in that guy for the next 7 years, when he has one of those injuries, you're going to treat it appropriately as opposed to just getting him back on the field. So in my mind, there's two separate things. I take personal responsibility for everything I ever put in my body. 100%, that's on me. I did it willingly, and I knew what I was getting myself into. But the misdiagnosis, trying to get a guy to play that shouldn't be playing, does that happen? 100%, there's no question in my mind that happens.
I told you he was a good person to ask. He not only gave his experience, but gave a solution as well. Mark Schlereth, with your 29 surgeries, thank you.
Thank you.